There we are.
Welcome to Power New York's Women Equality Wednesday Google Hangout. I will be moderating today's Hangout, sponsored by Power New York, an inclusive statewide network committed to securing economic equality for all New York women. Today's conversation, Stronger Together, features how the Equal Pay, Child Care, and Paid Leave campaigns are connecting to create stronger forces for change. Tweet your questions using the hashtag #StrongerTogether or click on the Google Hangout question function. After this event, this Hangout will be available on YouTube through www.powerny.org. Please note that Power New York is strictly nonpartisan and a nonprofit project. It is time for New York to adapt to the changing demographics of the American workforce. Policies that promote women's economic security are essential to protecting the economic stability of working families. It is because we know that there are concrete steps we can take to give all workers the best chance to succeed at work and at home. The Paid Family Leave, Child Care, and Equal Pay advocates are coming together next Thursday for an event entitled Stronger Together. Our Google Hangout guests today are Beverly Neufeld, head of Power New York's Equal Pay campaign, Robin Brown from the New York Paid Leave Coalition's Long Island organizer, and Kim Mitchell, a child care advocate. We're going to start with our first question. To all our guests, tell us a little bit about why addressing your issue is so important to the women and families of New York. Let's start with you, Kim.
Good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to be part of this great conversation. And I guess simply put, this issue is important because it matters. It matters that all children have the best possible start in life. It matters that we capitalize on the fact that development begins at birth, and we need to capture those moments every opportunity possible. And it matters that we aggressively close the kindergarten gap that currently exists amongst children in this country, particularly children in low-income families. And given the number of children today who live in poverty, creating a level playing field is critical to women, families, and our society as a whole. So, you know, paying attention to the research about brain development, paying attention to the importance of quality and quality early care and access to affordable care are critical elements in the child care movement today. And as we listen to the conversation that's happening both in our city, in our state, and nationally, it's a great moment of opportunity to really ensure that this movement has the energy, the accelerated attention, and clearly that's the reason that we're part of this conversation.
Great. Who wants to answer next? You want to go to Robin?
I can go. So I'm with the New York Paid Family Leave Insurance Coalition, and especially in New York, all throughout the states actually, but New York we don't have paid family leave, and it matters a lot to women and to families, especially low-income to middle-income families that can't afford to stay home with their newborn babies, adopted children, foster children, or their family members that are sick without losing pay. There's actually a study, and it says that for low income, if they stay out of work for 8 days, that's their entire life savings without pay that will be taken away. And that's just something that we can't have nowadays, because we have to make sure that our families are taken care of, and there shouldn't be a choice between going to work or losing your job to make sure that your families are healthy. So that one really matters, and also especially with newborn babies or just with children, all that there's a bonding time that, you know, doctors have said that it actually helps in the long-term health for children and for the mothers to have that. So them being able to stay home and to take care of that, it's not something that they, you know, it's like something they should just have, or it's not like a want, it's a need, and it shouldn't just be for the higher income families.
Great. Bev?
Yeah, well, first, just let me say thank you so much, Jocelyn, for moderating today. and we're really excited how her New York is, working to bring these issues together. And our work actually came out of some of the equal pay work that was being done across New York State. We started to see how connected all of these issues are. So we're especially excited to be part of a Stronger Together project today and the event that we're having on Thursday, right? So why is this important? Well, it's 2015, and, women are about half of the workers. We graduate at higher rates than men, and we're breadwinners like no other time before. About 6 out of 10 women are either the breadwinner of the family or a co-breadwinner. So money matters. It really matters to families, and as long as there's a wage gap, it means women aren't being paid what they're due, or they don't have the opportunities that they should. And in this case, we're also going to talk about the workplace policies that help them get equal pay. New York is doing better than the national average. The national average is 78 cents to $1, and that's for a full-time worker, comparing women to men. And in New York, we're doing better. It's more like 86 cents to $1. But that does not. But when you really dig down, it's serious here too, because African American women and Latinas are getting about 64 cents and 55 cents to $1. So that is a lot of money that people are not bringing into their families. And it has an effect on the families. It also has an effect on New York. We're losing like $22 billion a year. So we're all in this to try to find a solution. And what I think is interesting, if you look at the average New York woman, she's losing at least $8,200 a year. So that's a lot of gas or a lot of rent or, a lot of savings. And it adds up over the course of a career for just an average woman to maybe as much as $500,000. And not having that money, not having that savings, not having that security or that house is one of the reasons that older women in New York are really the highest rising group moving into poverty. So this is an issue of equal pay that it's not just a topic. It's really about making sure that women can meet their bills, help their families, and also, survive into the future. So I think that New York women are, the numbers across the country and here in New York, about a third of the women who run their families and run their households are women who are making just poverty rates. And so trying to close the gap, trying to close this wage gap, trying to create equal pay, is so important to women on all levels, but particularly for women who are low paid, and many women are. So that's why we want to work together on all these issues, see how they connect, and see how we can all move the policy forward.
Great, thank you so much. The next question is, how do you see these three issues of childcare, equal pay, and paid family leave overlapping, and how can we strengthen our causes? And for this question, we're going to start with Robin.
Sure. All three of them, they overlap in so many different ways. When I'm out there in the field in Long Island and I'm talking to different organizations, everybody, said their members, they care, those are the three issues that they care about, making sure that they have enough money to take care of their family, to make sure that when they're away that they have somebody that there is also taking care of their kids and they don't have to be worried for them while they're at work, and that if they need to stay home and take care of their family, that they can do that without losing their job. It's something that's very important. We just had a panel over the weekend talking about this issue with a lot of legislators in Albany, New York, which is our capital, and we had somebody from a store that gave a personal story, which is very key, and she was saying about how she just came back from maternity leave, and while she works at a job that it's actually a union and gives her good benefits, they don't give her all the benefits, and so she didn't have paid family leave insurance for it, which means she had to take vacation time and she had to take sick time, which for her, she said it wasn't actually fair because she wasn't it wasn't a vacation for her. So you shouldn't have to take your vacation time to stay home with your children or your newborn, especially because it's a health risk if you leave right away. And she wanted to do breastfeeding. She was anemic. There was many issues that went around that she couldn't take care of because she had to choose between going back to work or going back to work to a good job that gave her a good living wage, or possibly not having that job and having to find a job that currently did not have a good living wage. So these are just stories that we hear all the time from people, and it's almost like it's one issue, and that's why I think it's great that we're all coming together and broadcasting this and making it one type of campaign, because all these factors matter. So that's just what I'm hearing out in the field.
Great. Who wants to go next?
Well, I want to thank Robin for those that personal story and those comments. It really, I think, illustrates just how this is important to individuals as well as to all of us. At the kernel of a lot of this conversation is the fact that caregiving is just not honored in our society, and women are generally the caregivers, the nurturers. So women's work, which is hard work, and a lot of the typical jobs that many women are in, I mean, they're undervalued, they're underpaid, and women are overworked. So getting at the issue like child care, it's no wonder that women are penalized for taking time off to take care of their children or to try to figure out how to make this work. When you realize that about 65% of children under the age of 6 are being taken care of by either a single mom or a working couple, you realize the magnitude of just the importance of this for families. And when it comes down to it, I mean, childcare is just so expensive that often women make a decision that they are not going to be able to keep that career job, or they're going to have to modify their schedule or take more time off. And the reality of that is that when women become moms, they're penalized for it. And that penalty kind of continues throughout their careers. That's what we call the mommy penalty, and it adds up to about 5% for each child that a woman has. And strangely enough, it doesn't have that effect on men, because there's like what we call the daddy bonus, and that is when a man becomes a father, his earnings, which just really shows us, how much prejudice there is, discrimination there is, and that kind of discrimination, lack of opportunity, penalizing women, just adds up to the bottom line, so their salaries. So I think that we have to have affordable and available childcare for women to really be able to do their job, at work and at home, and for families to exist. And that is absolutely true as well for paid family leave. What we know about when women have paid family leave, they return to work with the same employer, and they usually get about the same pay, if not more. And that is so important, not just to the families, but to companies that are just like fighting for talent. Companies want to retain talent, and they want to retain the talent of great women. So they have to offer these, these benefits. And I think it's really telling that when Google, who really are trying to keep their women working for them, Google changed their policy, and the policy, they moved from 3 months of paid leave to 5 months of paid leave. And when they did that, it reduced the rate of women dropping off by 50%. So it works. It helps women stay in the marketplace, and it helps them, to continue to get paid well, and to, value their careers and their work. Now the question is, how are we going to get this done? But we know that it's important, and we know that child care and that paid leave absolutely affect the bottom line for women's salaries and equal pay.
Great. Kim?
So at the risk of somewhat repeating what's been said, when I think about how these three link together, child care, equal pay, and paid leave are all inextricably linked and lay the foundation or actually the key ingredients for creating harmony in day-to-day life. So when any one of them is out of alignment, it creates significant complications for families. We know that 61% of New York State's 4-year-olds are still waiting for full-day pre-K. We know that in 2014, the 2014-2015 year, only 5% of 4-year-olds outside of New York City got a spot in full-day pre-K. And we also know that a disturbing 78% of children eligible for subsidized childcare are still waiting for a slot. So when families have access to affordable, high-quality childcare, when parents have living wage jobs with pay equity, given the disproportionate number of households led by women, this is a critical issue, as Beverly laid out nicely. And then when the fear of losing a job to care for a sick child or a spouse or oneself is removed, it creates the pathway for a semblance of day-to-day order amidst the many other variables that exist and the challenges that exist for women and families to really sustain a quality of life. So it's so important for us to be informed and connected to the organizations and the champions who are leading this charge. It's important to be part of the continuum from concern to advocacy to policy to ensure that the resources are available to address each of these issues. And clearly that's sort of why we believe this notion of being stronger together is so important, because none of us can afford to be single issue focused. They all work together in an ecosystem. They are linked and are interdependent on each other, and is the reason that this is such a critical time for us to bring voice to these issues as one body versus individual units focused on it.
Thank you. Now to our next question. You are all waging campaigns to address these problems. What are you each trying to achieve, and how can all of us help? Let's start this one with Bev.
Oh, thanks so much. Now we get to the good part, right? The good part is, I think the best news is that these are really exciting times. About 7 years ago, when we started with the equal pay work, which had been done for a long time in New York, but we really ramped it up. No one was talking to us or listening to us, or really, it just wasn't on the radar so much. And now, these issues, particularly equal pay, it's acknowledged that folks want to solve this problem. They had, after Obama had his State of the Nations, they did a poll, and it showed that 81% of Americans want to have equal pay, child care, paid leave, these kinds of policies. Where the disagreement comes is how to make it happen. So no doubt. So we have no doubt about how to make it happen, and that's what we've been doing. And we really welcome everybody to come in and help move this ball. One thing that we're focused on is legislation. So 50 years ago, they passed the Equal Pay Act, and we still have a gap that we can't close, and it's not going to close by itself for 44 years. So we've got to do more legislatively. And what we're doing in New York is we were able to get a provision of the Women's Equality Act to include protections for workers to talk about their salaries and without fear of retaliation being fired. Why that's so important is, how do you know if you're getting equal pay if you don't know what other people are making and you can't talk about it? So this is a very important provision of the Women's Equality Act, and we are really close to getting these provisions passed. So we need everybody to come together for this final push, and really not to miss this great opportunity to have the equal pay provision passed and all the other ones. So that's one thing that we're working on. And then all around the state, we're encouraging cities, towns to take on efforts around equal pay. How can they improve within their own communities the pay policies. So we invite people from Buffalo and Syracuse and New York City to join us. In New York City, we're going to work to pass an equal pay bill here this year, and I think that we really might have the capacity to do that. So legislatively, that's what the Equal Pay campaign is doing, and then we're also, working with folks about what jobs women take, and to understand that the jobs that are called non-traditional jobs are the ones that pay better. So we have a whole project around that. We're working with the Collaboration for Women in Construction, because there's going to be a lot of opportunity in construction in New York State in the coming years. And we also need help reaching out to folks and giving them tools to figure out, how to calculate if they're being paid well. Young women need to understand from the beginning how to negotiate for their first salary. We've got a lot of ways for people to be involved, and right now, besides coming to our event next Thursday, which is in New York City, we're asking folks to sign up on the Equal Pay page to be involved with the Equal Pay Day, which is April 14th this year. And that's a date that women have to work to make as much money as a man worked to in the last year. So you have to work 15 and a half months to get 12 months salary. So every year we commemorate that, and we have a lot of activities all over the state. So we welcome everybody to come to that party and to work together in some of these actions that I think we really can get done this year.
Great. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. Two quick things, or at least one quick thing to clarify as I make the comments is I'm a child care advocate as an individual, but I'm also a board member of the Center for Children's Initiatives, better known as CCI, which is the third group that's really actively engaged in the Stronger Together event. And so when we think about what we'd like for people to do in support of the issues of child care, what we're so excited about regarding the event next Thursday is that it's an action forum. And so we're going to have action tables. And the idea is for each of these organizations to help individuals understand what the call to action is related to the issues individually and how we can address the call to action collectively. So for CCI's action table, there will be just lots of information that will focus on the significant progress that's been made in this space and what some of the challenges are that continue. And to Bev's point, critical to making a dent in these issues is the right legislation. And so in support of that, there will be lots of information about how to continue to champion the legislation that will ensure that the appropriate funding and resources are released and made available to support the promise of child care that's been stated by our governor and the mayor, at least of New York City, and many other legislators across the state. And there will be a sign-on for people to appreciate what CCI would like to advocate for and champion in support of that funding. And there'll be significant information about our Advocacy Day that really describes the details around what we believe funding is going to be required to deliver on that promise, to ensure that child care is front and center in people's minds, and that the relationship between child care, equal pay, and paid leave is so critical to the success of women and families as we think about it.
So well said. Mm-hmm.
Robin?
So we have a bill for paid family leave insurance, a bill in the Assembly and hopefully in the Senate. And so what we are asking people to do is definitely reach out to your legislators, both Assembly and Senate, and to tell them why you want this bill to be passed and how it can help your family. As the organization, we would love to have personal stories. It really helps when we go talk to the legislators if they hear a personal story and not just us saying why it helps, because they also have other people coming in and saying why they shouldn't have it. So if they have somebody from their district and talking about why they couldn't go visit their sick grandmother or their mom or their baby, it really brings it home and brings it personal, and that's an extremely powerful element to the campaign. We also have petitions that we will have next Thursday at the event for you to sign on. If you're an individual, we definitely would love for you to sign on. If you're an organization, to be part of our coordinating committee and sign on that way too would be great. And then finally, to use social media and to tweet about it, put it on Facebook, just get it out there so people know that it's an issue. One of the things I hear about when I go out there in the field is that a lot of people don't even know that this is an option that they could have. So if we get that out there and more people realize that A, we don't have this, and B, that there's a legislation saying that it could happen, that would be very, very helpful. So those are the few ways, especially the personal stories, that could help this go through this year.
That's great.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else to add before I go to the closing remarks?
It's bad. I just want to ask Robin, is there like a particular bill that the Paid Family Leave is working on? When will you have information about that at the table?
So we definitely will have information about that at the table. There's an assembly bill, and then there's a couple versions of a Senate bill, which is kind of technical, and our legislative director can definitely answer those questions, and we'll be there to also, talk about it.
Great. So for the Power New York Network, we thank our panelists for participating in the Google Hangout, which will be posted on www.powerny.org. And now it's your turn to take action. Some simple but effective ways are, well, to come out and support us on February 26th and attend the events. You can also participate in a Twitter storm which will run concurrent to the events. You can sign the Stronger Together petition found at bit.ly/Stronger Together, call to action. And remember that Equal Pay Day is on April 14th. Stay connected to Power New York for the latest news on the coordinated efforts of all three issues. And thank you, and tune in next month to our next Women's Equality Wednesday Hangout on during March for Women's History Month. That was not my smoothest ending. I apologize.
Thanks so much, Joss.